outdoor learning, forest schools, and people get it confused and muddled quite a lot. What do you think are the really important things that people need to know to be able to recognise those differences?
You mean like what's the differences basically?
Yeah.
Okay. So well, I think that I think it's not just about outdoor learning, neither is it, because it's things like outdoor play and outdoor activity and outdoor adventures and all of those kind of things. And my background is really I got into the outdoor activity and outdoor education, but like experiential learning. And it was about taking young people out, taking for them a day or a week away, on camp, when we're climbing and caving, and it's all about, their bespoke courses and their personal, and, it's about raising self-esteem, confidence and trust and all those kind, which is based on, the old Outward Bound and that sort of like Gordonstoun sort of like development processes, which are absolutely fabulous. But what I found is that so many people just went and did a climb and just said, right, okay, you guys all just sort of sit down there and then wait your turn. And that was kind of like the patience development thing, or abseil down, and that's like, oh, well, trust me. But there was no relationship build up, and I think that's quite common with a lot of the processes that end up as being just, like half a morning or even an hour or a birthday party or like somebody who's in the school grounds who says, right, okay, we're going to go and do outdoor learning now, and here's a sheet. What I want you to do is find out. We're going to do about about nature, or we're going to do about science, or we're going to do about building, or the Celts, or any of those things. But there's a predetermined outcome for the child that is literally doing exactly the same as they would inside, but outside.
Yeah.
Whereas for me, forest schools is child. It's not that it's child centred, because I think that word gets bandied around a little bit too much as well. But it's focusing on the knowledge and understanding that a forest school leader has attained through the baseline assessment process of finding out where that child is holistically, where they are, and finding out that information, using that in order to be able to provide opportunities and experiences, irrespective of the content, in order to actually be able to develop that particular child's physical skills or emotional skills or social skills, or depending on what that needs to be.
I think the big difference that you're talking about there is this idea of when you go out and do outdoor learning, it tends to be, not exclusively, but tends to be more transactional.
Yeah.
If you do this, you're going to get this.
Yes.
Whereas in forest schools, it's more transformative,
Yes.
where we have to leave the activity to one side, create some experiences based off their needs, which immediately makes it very flexible, makes it so that we have to be driven by their interests, by their potential to develop in different areas, but very much giving ourselves over to that process of honestly trying to understand who they are, have really deep connections, and it almost less being about a program, although we have that structure, and about having a really genuine community all out together in this amazing space.
And so the process is, how do we actually create that community, inside, the setting that we're actually using, and therefore the setting that we're using has to have, certain considerations and functions as well in order, to make it feel safe, to be safe, for us to be able to kind of like feel secure, the relationships between each of the young people or children that are there, but also that relationship. And I think it makes a shift of balance of power, doesn't it? So instead of us as leaders being the all-knowing and all-powerful and expecting children to listen to the things that we're saying, forest schools is almost like flipping it on its head, because we appreciate as forest school leaders that child's curiosity is the thing that can open a whole new world.
Yeah.
And it's so valuable. These could be the scientists, the developers, the innovators, in years to come, because we've said that actually it's okay to look and come up with your own ideas.
And I think one more really interesting difference is that in outdoor learning, you tend to be thinking, right, well, how many learners can we have and manage in this kind of activity?
Absolutely.
So it's about group management. Whilst in forest schools, it tends to be about, well, how many can we work with where we actually still get to have a really deep opportunity to develop a relationship with them?
So going back to what you were saying then, is that this isn't about a transaction,
Mm.
this is about transformation. And I think that's the key for us in terms of what's the difference. Is one, the child and the grown up, whoever that is, understands there's a bit of a currency, and I'll take part, I will gain this bit of information. It's all, sometimes it's pre-known what the intention is, and then you get told well done, and then we go back inside and we continue the rest of our lives. Whereas in forest schools, it's very much about that whole relationship process, isn't it? It's almost like kind of like a big pot, and everything goes in there, and the taste of it, the smell of it, the outcome is something so special and unique that none of those people participating could quite often ever have even imagined, that would actually pop out. And I think, like you say, it's a numbers game as well, because if we've got a fewer number of children participating, then time tends to stand still, because we can sit back and breathe. And I think that's another key thing about forest schools, and the difference from outdoor learning, which is still kind of quite driven, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like, we've got to do this, we've got to finish this, we've got to have this done.
And when you've got those nice small communities forming, and you've got those relationships, either by just the nature of that experience or by you being able to provide it, you can create some real emotional memories. Those memories that inform who they are, their character, for hopefully the rest of their life.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's really important, isn't it? Because the higher the emotive content or the emotional content, the more likely that that's going to be transferred into the long-term memory. Whereas if it's just touching at a sort of a cerebral level, it's unlikely that it will. The most important thing will probably be from that kind of like lesson or session, would be, well, I remember that it was raining, or the sun was shining, or this, that, and the other. But the content is probably likely to kind of disappear, unless there's that thing about relationship. How do we feel? How do we? And that goes back as well, I think, to the other key important thing about what's the difference between forest schools and outdoor learning is about this reflective process. Is that we understand that at forest schools that an experience without reflection doesn't create learning that is going to be long-lasting, which links again into your kind of emotional memories, really.
I think for me, if I was to sum it up, the difference between outdoor learning and forest schools is in outdoor learning, you're doing lots, and I think in forest schools, you're being.
Absolutely, totally agree. And it's great, isn't it? Because even now I can feel it, and I can feel that difference, that different energy. And I think, for us, as trainers or master coaches, I suppose, is it's our responsibility to be able to get people to shift. If they want to do forest schools, it's this. But outdoor learning is great as long as we have a really good